person that we have become right now is like a building, where we are our own engineers that build the foundation of our morals and beliefs. The architect that designs or decides what our future will look like. The blueprints as the lessons of our forefathers that guide us on how to play the game of life. And the scaffoldings as our habits that build us for us to achieve new heights. Looking back on your journey, you realize how far you have come. The lessons you gained through the experiences of the past made you wiser in your choices. Well, in my case, my choices. So here are 18 things that I have learned in my 18 years of life. Number 1. Learning is an unending process. Growing up, I didn't like reading books. Running to dead trees with text on them, I wonder how can someone enjoy this? Until I was influenced into reading, and that's where everything started. Reading opened my mind to what the world has to offer. I gained lots of lessons and reaped the benefits of being a reader. Reading numerous books has helped me bridge my ideas and organize my thoughts. It helped me widen the horizon of my perspective on the world and also give me the opportunity to help people by passing on the lessons I learned in the world of books to the people I care. But a big fact that was hard to swallow in my experience of reading was that in order for us to learn, we must first admit our ignorance. Because in our culture, admitting that you know nothing takes courage. And I learned this because of people that gave me a safe space, making me realize that we will always be students in our whole lifetime, making mistakes and always learning from them. And I believe that it is through reading that we can learn, and through learning that we can evolve. Own lane, own pace, own race. The most detrimental habit that hinders us from getting better is comparing ourselves to others. In our generation, updates about other people's lives are very accessible through the use of social media. While scrolling, you can see your friends and family achieving greater things, and here you are questioning when yours will be. I've been there, and I admit it was hard, but later I realized that what they show to other people is only the surface of the iceberg that we see, never the part that keeps the iceberg afloat amidst the current of life. And it also made me realize that what we see is just a fraction of their whole being. And just like most of us, we only let certain people see underneath the iceberg, the most trusted and loved. Sometimes our best isn't enough. That's why we just have to do what's necessary. Transitioning to college was a roller coaster ride. Environment, culture, language, and people. It was all new to me. It was really a struggle during that period, especially with the language barrier and academic culture of my university. But nevertheless, I survived my first semester by just doing what's necessary. It was a hard pill to swallow that the amount of effort will never equate to the results you'll get. And what you need to do is just accept the fact that even if you did your best, showing up is enough to put in the work to finish the task. And also, it's crucial to keep in mind that evaluators are different. Your work might be a 10 to some and 3 to others. And that's okay. You can never please everyone. Just learn to be contented and never complacent. Be thankful and be happy. Because dwelling too much on statistics will lead you to disappointments. And at the end of the day, those numbers will never dictate your worth as a person. We get little habits from the people that we love. In my 18 years of life, I have met lots of people who have a huge impact on my life. And I'm thankful for it because it made me the person that I am today. In life, we get paired up with unexpected people that you thought in the first place were hard to reach out to, but you'll just find yourself laughing along with them, as the thought of first impression diminishes as you get to know them. You meet people of different backgrounds who will give you a safe space to freely express yourself without the fear of judgment. You learn from them and slowly imitate the habits that you get from them. How you speak, think, and live is influenced by the people that you are surrounded with. You will meet people who will accept who you are as an individual and walk with you through the darkest days. The specific people that you can show the parts of you, a different person to different people. But as time goes by, people change, and it's at that stage that we learn to adapt to different kinds of individuals. Each of them is unique, and it's in their uniqueness that will leave a hint of themselves for you. Just like a canvas, those people represent the colors, and you are the painting. A magnificent work of art. Always keep your balance. I never thought that I would develop lots of hobbies at this age, and it's in those extracurricular activities that I breathe away from the hustle and bustle of life. However, sometimes I get caught up with one thing and forget to acknowledge that there are still things that need to get done. Just like in my last year of high school, I got hooked on the thought that it's my last year, I'll do whatever I want, without any idea that there would be consequences. There were lots of things I did in my 12th grade, just like being a leader, a captain, an artist, and a hobbyist. I admit, I really did have fun, and in order to keep that fun, I needed to sacrifice lots of things to the point that it was my health that was at stake. Not that I regretted doing those, it's just that it would be better if I set a limit on the amount of time I invested in my extracurricular activities to also have a balance in other aspects of my life. Because too much of everything is as bad as too little. It's in the middle ground that we find balance. Just like riding a bicycle, we need to keep our balance to keep moving forward on the road of life. Know your heart very well and follow where it will lead you. I will never forget the passage that I read in the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And it goes, "Well then, why should I listen to my heart?" the boy asked. The man then replied, "Because you will never again be able to keep it quiet. Even if you pretend not to have heard what it tells you, it will always be there inside you, repeating to you what you are thinking about life and about the world." You mean I should listen even if it's treasonous? Treason is a blow that comes unexpectedly. Even if you know your heart well, it will never be able to do that to you, because you'll know its dreams and wishes, and will know how to deal with them. You will never be able to escape from your heart, so it's better to listen to what it has to say. That way, you'll never have to fear an unexpected blow. And I believe that this passage is what all of us need to hear. As Nathaniel Hawthorne said, "There is evil in every human heart, which may remain latent, perhaps through the whole life, but circumstances may rouse its activity. Our desires come from the heart, and it's up to us to take action towards them. It's easier said than done, but committing to what your heart really wants takes lots of self-discipline, courage, sacrifice, and delayed gratification. However, your future self will thank you for saving time, energy, and money, and avoid hurting people and yourself. In our generation today, most of us avoid doing the dirty work. That's why most settle for distractions, being in a toxic relationship, alcohol, media, and so much more. It's up to you if you break the pattern or continue it, because it's you who navigates, the captain of your own ship. It's you who decides if you will continue sailing even on the most stormy days. Have time to know yourself, your heart, and your soul, because there is nothing in the world that never takes a step outside a person's heart. Clarity comes from engagement, not from thought or assumption. When I was a child, communication was very hard for me since I would be anxious even to the people that were very close to me, to the point that I would just settle for shutting off rather than saying sorry. But as I grew older, I realized that most of the problem roots in us not engaging in healthy communication to fix an underlying problem. Most of us settle on assumptions, believing that people will always be like this and things will just be a cycle. A belief based on our own experiences, desires, and perceptions that makes us presumptuous, always following the pattern. I have been in this loop, and I can say that it has brought me consequences. Broken friendships, mental health problems, lost opportunities, misunderstandings, and conflicts. With this, I wonder why I'm always stuck in this situation, until I take a step back and reflect. It was then that I realized that it was that lack of self-esteem and courage to communicate that have become an obstruction to bridging confusion and clarity. Easier said than done, but it's hard to develop confidence, especially when you're surrounded by people who would ridicule you. That's why it's very important to find a safe space to fully express yourself, which will also help develop your communication skills. Communication is hard, but always choose to have the courage to speak out and never wait for the consequences of choosing to be silent consume you. Change. Embrace it. Living is part of living. I can still remember when I was still a child, I would cry every time our yaya or babysitter left for another job. But as I grew older, I got used to it and eventually it helped me handle different situations in my life as well. Opportunities come and suddenly they're gone in a second. A person visits in your life and then you'll just find yourself reminiscing the memories you had with them. People come and people go, and as time passes, everything changes. They visit for a reason in different seasons. Although the pain is what we always run away from, we could never avoid it because in reality, that's what life is all about. We spend time with people, we learn from them, we get hurt, we change pathways. And this is the sole reason for what makes us human. The pain of change reminds us of growth, that we too can transform into a person capable of handling the pain of being left and choosing to leave. Even the hardest decision for the betterment of your future is part of the process of growth. That to become presence means accepting the risk of absence. That in order for us to fully embrace life and love, we must accept the possibility of both happiness and pain. And this is a reminder to seize the moment with the people you love and care about the most. Make it worthwhile. Make memorable memories with them that will help you fully embrace what life is all about. Have time to disconnect. The pandemic was a tough experience for everyone. We were isolated inside those four walls and craving social connection. And sadly, it is through only social media that we can connect with other people. And it is through social media that we get misinformed and influenced. Fake news have been prominent in this age, and social media platforms have been breeding grounds for these types of things. While scrolling, you'll never know what to believe. I've experienced this, and what I did was disconnect for a while and live in the present moment. It was hard, but believe me, it will change your life. As I've tracked my social media time usage, I felt guilty when I knew that I was spending 1/3 of the day just mindlessly scrolling through my phone. I have also observed that the way I behave and think has become like the influencers that I follow on these platforms, and it isn't good for my mental health. So with this, I took a step back and disconnected. This was a lesson for me, and it made me think of the verse in Psalm 19 verse 12. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. To number our days is to keep careful over your time with the same kind of care and attention that you would give to your finances, personal belongings, health, and other things. It's also like a habit. You may not feel the effects in the first few weeks, but as time passes, they pile up and you'll just see how they become. Acknowledge the past. Anything that you turn down will become a shadow that will never leave you. Can you still remember your face when you were still a child? Looking in the mirror, your body has grown. Your skin has felt the breeze and heat. Your eyes have seen the life that you lived that brought you to now. The days have added up. Your 7th birthday is now only a memory, and you are looking at a picture that holds a moment. A picture of the past, a moment that can only last. Our past, a significant part of ourselves to ask. I read a book called The Body Keeps the Score by Basil van der Kolk. Actually, I wrote a book review about it, but I'll just give some lines that really have an impact on how crucial it is for us to acknowledge the past. I tried to carry all the boulders, only to find my shoulders bruised from carrying all that was over. I cling to discomfort, which causes everyone around me discomfort. I sought maps that would help me get out of this maze, but all that was written was always about a temporary aid for me not to be afraid. As I look at the wall in my place, I scratch another line. The number of days that I've been in this case. I hid in this dark place so I couldn't be seen, the home that I've been living in ever since. The darkness with no light that I've been dreading to see, the monster that I would always foresee. Living with an unhealed trauma is described in Taylor Swift's That's by Thousand Cuts song, which goes, "But if the story is over, why am I still writing pages?" But that's what it really feels like. No matter how much you run away from it, it will always chase you like a monster. No matter how much you suppress or cover what you're really feeling, it will always catch you. And running away from it is just like running on a hamster wheel. But in reality, it's very hard to welcome the demons inside us. Embrace them like friends and accept that there was really a time in our lives that we were really hurt. And healing goes a long way. Our timeline in healing varies, and it's nonsense to compare our process to others because we have never been in their shoes and they have never been in ours. Acknowledging the past takes courage, strength, and patience. We just need to take that step to start the journey of finding them. Always trust the process. I can still remember what my tito taught me about the importance of consistency and hard work. Just like carving a big rock, it is important to be patient and consistent for a masterpiece to be formed. Many times we question if this is even worth it, but as we stand still and continue to pound the stone little by little, carving the small fragments, we can see the masterpiece that we have discovered. Thanking our past selves for doing the hard work. I have always been fond of making art, and in making masterpiece, you need to go through the ugly stage before finishing up. We may get discouraged during the ugly stage by how hopeless we are and the thoughts that will come along the way that will stop us. But always know that these thoughts are only temporary, and listening to them will do nothing but bring you down. That's why we must always keep hold of the goal firmly and trust the process. As they say, good things takes time. Better things come to those who wait, and best things come to those who believe. Your environment can make you or break you. Being a light surrounded by darkness is hard. You'll feel like you're a deformed shape in a world full of perfect shapes. You'll see triangles that are with triangles. Boxes are with boxes, and circles are with circles. And here you are, an unnamed shape, hoping to find where you belong. Being in that situation sucks because I've been there. You'll wonder if there's something wrong with you or what things needs to be changed about yourself to fit in. And no matter how much you try to carve yourself, you'll never fit in with the shapes. And you'll just find yourself faking who you really are, and happy, and not being true to yourself. But what I realized was that there was really nothing wrong with me in the first place, and that people just have their own preferences. And if you don't fit in with them, then don't try, because it's not your job to fit in with something just to be part of it. Finding the right environment is hard, and no matter how much you search for it, chances are you'll just be jumping from one group to the next, and what I learned was not to chase, but rather to attract. Work on yourself. The way you see, treat, and love yourself will attract the best people in your life. Just don't lose hope and keep on improving. Being the light will always attract the shiniest and brightest people. Those people will always find you, will accept who you are, will support you, and will surround you with love. There is more to life than being right all the time. I can still remember our teacher let us watch a video about precision instruments and instruction on how to use it. It was about a vernier caliper, and at the end of the video, we were asked what the measurement of an object was based on the given. It was easy at the first question, but I get an incorrect answer in the second question, and the instructor of the video said, if you got it wrong, that's okay, there's more to life than being right all the time. And it got me thinking about the number of times that I fought for myself just to be right, and it just drained and burned me out, destroying my mental peace for the sake of being the right one. I've been there, we've all been there, but as we grow old and look at it from a different perspective, there's really more to life than being right all the time. Yes, you may be right, but was it really worth it to fight for it? For your energy to be drained and yourself to be burnt out? There are many things to do other than prove yourself that you are right, but there are things to invest your emotions and energy in rather than being in a situation where one is right and the other one must be wrong, pointing fingers at whose fault it is and trying to convince and change other people that you are right. You should believe and follow me. But in reality, you can never change a person unless they change themselves. Although sometimes really can't avoid these types of situations, and if you're ever stuck in one, ask yourself, is this really worth fighting for? Is my body and mind capable of doing this? What is really my goal in letting myself get involved in this situation? Is it practical or realistic? Do I really need to be right all the time? And in answering those questions, you'll get a sense of the reality of the situation. And it is then that you'll reflect and find out about yourself. Maybe it's that ego, or pride, or being a people pleaser that I need to be right all the time. And it will open you an opportunity to change your perspective about the situation, the world around you, and yourself. Step out and slow down time. College life has changed me. From how I manage my time and handle my workload, the whole semester was just like me running on a racetrack with no choice but to keep going, because if I stopped, even for a second, I could be left behind with more meters to run on. I got used to that kind of situation ever since I was still in high school, and although I know how to handle it, recovering from it is the hardest part. The overwhelming feeling, grieving from the lost opportunities along the way, burnt out, and losing a part of yourself. And it's not just a one-day recovery, it sometimes takes months to recover from it. I've been in that case, and believe me, it's really hard getting out of that situation. It's like jumping in a deep hole, and you only have yourself to get out of it. But thankfully, I learned lessons from that experience. Being busy all the time, I took for granted the things around me. I forgot to enjoy life itself, to seize the moment, and to appreciate everything around me. It was just focused on the goal, neglecting what the essence of what life really is. And so I learned to be alone, just with my mind and with my own thoughts. And it was then that I got to know more about myself. It is also an important reminder that sometimes we just need to stop and appreciate everything around us. To slow down time, to step out of work for some time, to breathe and relax. Because at the end of the day, we only have ourselves to live and life to enjoy. Start a hobby to build good habits. When I was still 7 years old, every time summer came, my mom would always enroll me and my brother in some summer classes. He was with his guitar and I was with my piano and painting. This continued until I graduated from elementary school and until I could no longer have time to have summer classes. Moving on to high school, I haven't played the piano until the pandemic left me with no choice but to play on the keys. During the lockdown period, we had no choice but to stay at home, just going through the motions of days and languishing, hopeless about the future. I also felt that way, hopeless in times of adversity, just distracting myself using all the means I have, until I got bored of it and wanted to try something new. While pondering, I look back on what I did when I was still a child and remember the hobbies I had and how long it has been since I have held a paintbrush, played the piano, and was consistent with reading. It was at that moment that I realized how much I regretted the times I took for granted the summer classes I had when I was still in my younger years and how I wasted the free time doing nothing things instead of honing it even more. And as I disciplined myself into going back into my hobbies, it taught me the principles of delayed gratification, consistency, sacrifice, time management, and hard work. The principles needed to build a habit. It's in these hobbies that we practice mastering the art of habits. Because we are like a building, the scaffoldings are our habits that help us achieve greater heights. Before handling people, learn first on how to handle yourself. In my 12th grade, I have handled lots of responsibilities that really taught me how to handle different types of people. Like, a lot. Though it was tiring, I admit I really did have fun. From being a tribe leader to a half captain, while also being a badminton captain at the same time, it was really challenging, but it was also changing. Starting as a tribe leader, it was my first time leading a large group of people. I wasn't really expecting anything. I just wanted to experience what it would be like to lead a group of people. Although it was a very short period of time, I did have fun leading. I learned a lot from people, and fast forward on me being a hive captain, the load was quadrupling and stressing. But hey, at least he placed champion on both events. And after the event, I was so burnt out to the point where I lost a part of myself. But of course, you have to act tough because you have to. And that it was my choice in the first place, so why should I nag about it? But it made me realize that it shouldn't just be the people that you should handle and focus on always, even if it's your responsibility, but also yourself. That it's okay to take a break from work, to have a boundary on what time you should only work. That it's just not work all the time, that just because you're held responsible for it. And I'm thankful for that experience because it made me aware that there should be a balance between working hard because it's my passion, that it's not just the goal or passion that you should keep in mind, but also yourself, your capabilities, and answering the question, are you willing to let yourself go through the sleepless nights, betrayals, invalidated efforts, sudden changes, opinions, and gossips of other people? Because if you go beyond the limit without knowing the possibilities, it is very hard to take a step back. Just like digging a deep hole, only to find yourself struggling to climb back up. Life will humble you down. Lessen your expectations from yourself. I can still remember a story. There was a person who wanted to climb a very high mountain. She wanted to reach the peak, the summit. As she prepares all her gears, everyone was cheering on her. Motivated, she consistently climbs up the mountain. She went through the cold nights, sacrificed her health, had frostbites, but that didn't stop her from going as excitement, praise, and achievement of reaching the top was all that pushed her. As she approaches the summit, covered with the clouds, she was having a hard time walking, so she left all her bags in the ground. It was a stormy day, but she was persistent. She continued until all that was keeping her alive was her dream of reaching the top. As the clouds covered the summit, she grabbed the flag and hoisted it on the ground. She then lay down, proud of what she accomplished. And because of the journey, she fell asleep and woke up in the latter. The day was clear. As she rubbed her eyes, She saw the top of the mountain from afar. She couldn't believe it. She sacrificed almost everything just to only reach halfway. As she realized the reality, her soul was crushed. She couldn't anymore continue in reaching her dream. She cried, blaming herself for this stupid dream of hers, saying, "If only I knew what the outcome would be, I wouldn't have placed myself in this situation in the first place." I really understood the frustration that person felt because that person was me. I was placed in that same situation over and over again, and it's hard. You sacrifice a lot, including the things you really treasured, in order to reach your dream, and only to find out that it wasn't really meant to be. A mix of frustrations, disappointments, and hopelessness, and you have no choice but to accept the reality of the situation. A very hard pill to swallow. Painful as it was, it's in these realizations that we learned, and it really taught me a lesson that really helped me and my growth. I realized that life will really humble you down and bring you to the ground, but it's in the ground level that we get to be realistic about what life really is, expecting less from ourselves because most of the time, when we achieve a lot, we get clouded up by our expectations, some from people, but mostly from ourselves. And this is also a reminder that we really need to be patient and kinder to ourselves, that we don't have to blame ourselves if the maps that we follow don't bring us to our destination. And even if our dreams weren't really for us, allow yourself to grieve from them, cry, and accept that you were hurt, and let time open new doors for you, that there are better things coming your way, that parts of ourselves are needed to be broken down for our true selves to be seen, and that this challenge is a redirection for you to prosper even more. Everyone starts somewhere. It's in the little choices that direct the outcome. I saw this video on YouTube where there was a comparison between different choices from the same person, and it made me realize how crucial our choices can be, no matter how little they are. Just like habits, at first we may not feel the effects in the first few weeks, but as the months stack up, you'll just be surprised at how much it has accumulated, to the point that we complain and compare why our lives are like this to others. And it made me think of the quote that Dumbledore said in the movie Harry Potter: "It is not our abilities that show what we truly are, it's our choices." Although it is true that some are lucky to have such privileges and born geniuses, abilities can be honed and developed. It just takes effort to accomplish them and conscious decisions made with those abilities that showcase virtue or vice. Before college started, I asked a friend what her study habits were during high school, how she's so intelligent, always on the top, achieving high grades with little to no effort. She then said, "Yeah, everyone says that, and it's kind of funny how they only know little about the effort I exerted to reach my goal. How easy it is for them to say, 'Oh, she was born genius, I wish I could be like her.' And it kind of invalidates the hard work, discipline, sacrifices, and sleepless nights I did. I admit, I am born ordinary. I fail exams, procrastinate, just like an ordinary student. But it was through these values and habits that I was able to accomplish my goal, and not a lot of people is willing to go through that. I failed, learned, and stood back up, never gave up. Just like what Taylor Swift said, I've never been natural, all I do is try. With that conversation, it changed my perspective on everything. It's really easy for us to judge people based on their accomplishments, and this is a reminder that everyone starts somewhere, that your choices are the ones that determine your future, that you are the captain of your own ship, and that no matter how strong the current of the waves are, it's you who decides how to overcome the obstacles and continue on sailing towards your goal. I have learned, and it is through these learnings that I have evolved, to become the person that I am right now, a friend, a daughter, a classmate, or even a stranger. I had to go through the experiences that made me gain lessons, and that lessons made me wary of my choices that brought me into existence. And now that I just turned 19, these are the 18 things I have learned in my 18 years of life.